Sword of Mercury. And today, we're gonna be talking about light again, but this time in terms of color, specifically color balancing. So, really, we're gonna be talking about how certain colors balance each other out and why this is relevant in terms of how it affects our perception. As we talked about in another video, different colors impact our psyche different. When we see red light, it typically is a grounding energy associated with energizing the physical body, relaxing the mind at some level. When we talk about colors like green, it typically supports nurturing and support, specifically almost this rejuvenation effect. That's typically why we associate it with nature. And blue, we associate with like the cooler end of the spectrum, which is synonymous with clarity, insight, awareness, alertness, which is the same reason why they tell us not to look at our phones late at night. In any case, we're going to be getting into more of the balancing effect between the colors and how they translate into each other in this video. So if you haven't checked out that video, I also recommend that you check that out. So here we can see this is the visible light spectrum right here. We have red on one end and blue on the other. And there's actually phenomenons in physics named after these, redshift and blueshift. And typically, when we encounter these, it leads to an effect. That is known as either redshift or blueshift, and this effect is essentially the wavelength expanding and light losing energy and relativity to the observer. So it's typically seen with objects moving away from Earth or away from the observer. You can also see this phenomenon known as gravitational redshift, which happens like with black holes, and why they do not radiate light, because all the energy of light is infinitely redshifted to the point where it's lost all its energy, and so much so that it cannot even be perceived. It's not observable anymore. There's nothing there. On the other side, we have blueshift, and this is where the frequency goes up and the wavelength becomes reduced. So here, frequency goes down, wavelength goes up. Here, wavelength goes down, frequency goes up. So they're inversely proportionate to one another. Blue is when an object is gaining energy or coming toward the observer. And essentially, this is similar. This effect is not similar, but the concept of inversely proportionate behavior is seen in color also. When you look at like the spectrum here, like purple and yellow are inversely proportionate, red and green, blue and orange, and this really is this balancing effect between colors that neutralizes the wavelength. So essentially, when you have a color that you look at and say it's green, that means that the red wavelength is typically being absorbed the most, because you're seeing the color that is the opposite of that. So more red is being absorbed, more green is being seen as a result of that. So, interesting facts. And here you have like the primary colors, which we see here. And yellow is interesting because typically, like with stuff like cameras or whatever, or certain aspects of not just photography, but other aspects of like even the receptors in our eyes operate on RGB, red, green, blue. And as you can see, red here, green, blue, green here, blue here. And the reason why it's like red, green, blue, and that is the thing that like relates to, and why you have like red, green, or red, green, blue, and in this order, red, green, blue, is because green is this like in between color that like yellow would go somewhere here, but green is actually what our eyes pick up. It's like the exact middle of the spectrum. But the reason why in primary colors yellow is there instead of green is because yellow can actually create more colors or more variance in the light spectrum. In essence, the way this really impacts us is because when we're dealing with like this balancing effect going on here, you really want to make sure that within your system, when we're dealing with light, that these things are like the modulator for all of the aspects of your physiology. So red, green, and blue are necessary for you to tune into certain aspects or states of consciousness and forms of energy. So, yeah, I mean, like, there's not too much more to say than that in terms of how these balance each other out. Like, typically, like, what you could have is, like, green being converted to red, and then, like, turn that back into, like, white light, for example, because you could cycle around, like, the colors through the spectrum to create this equilibrium of color. In any case, that is essentially what I have for you today on the concept of color and balancing between colors and the frequency of color. So red, green, blue, that's in color and film. It's also in our eyes, our receptors of our eyes. But in the color wheel, we're dealing with, like, there's a difference between light frequencies and color and almost the interaction of that and color mixing. So what we're dealing with here is light. We're not dealing with color mixing. We're dealing with the light. In essence, though, that's what I have for you today on the Sword of Mercury. And of course, I encourage you to like and subscribe. Follow me on Instagram at @top_sorcerer. I really appreciate all the assistance you guys give me with supporting this channel, and let's hope that we can continue to expand the channel, because lately it has hit somewhat of a slump in terms of the ratings, but I will do my best on my part, do what I can to turn that around. In any case, thank you so much for watching. Remember to like and subscribe and share this video with friends and family. I encourage you to check out my other podcast, Moonstruck, which I will link in the description below this video. And yeah, I'm the Prince of Mercury right here on the Sword of Mercury. And remember to like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye bye.